This bait doesn't even need hooks to catch them. It's raining walleyes, and sometimes fishing actually does pay the bills. We got that and more coming up right now in Target Walleye's Top 5, brought to you by our friends at Sea Foam and SCHEELS. Let's dive on in. You ever wonder where fish sticks come from?
A conveyor belt that carries them under a waterfall of thick, velvety batter.
Okay, I don't know or even really want to know either, but Lee Gold caught this pre-breaded one while fishing the Lake Sharp NWT. Yikes! I guess it was 20 inches long and weighed only 1.3 pounds. Are people flushing Ozempic down the toilet now or what? I believe that's a purple rain color Walleye Nation creation Shaky Shad that finally broke that fish's fast, which is all good. It's a great bait, but somebody needs to get that thing a greasy smelt burger ASAP. And then on the other hand, you've got fish like this one that John Hoyer caught last year on Lake Erie during the National Team Championship. And this guy went 22 inches but weighed a paunchy 5.5 pounds. It's actually crazy to look at those fish side by side and think that they're the same species, and actually now, as I look at them a little bit more closely, they're not the same species. The skinny one is actually a sauger, but regardless, they both need to start making some healthier decisions. There are so many stinking walleyes in Mille Lacs right now that they are literally raining down from the sky. Beth Borgen Lindbergh was driving on Highway 169 heading north for the weekend along that west side of Mille Lacs when an 18-inch walleye fell from the sky, hit their windshield, and shattered it. Apparently an eagle was flying overhead somewhere kind of near that area where the Rum River is when it dropped that walleye, or maybe it threw it, because that's pretty good aim. How do you even explain that to your insurance company?
I hit a walleye?
By the way, even wilder is that this happened the day before Minnesota's fishing opener, and they were told by the DNR that they could not keep the fish since the season was closed and that they had to dispose of it in a proper way. What would be a more proper way to dispose of a walleye fillet than in oil? This walleye hit Alex Templeton's Berkley Finisher so hard, it smacked the snot out of it to the point where it was just stuck in its mouth and he was able to reel it in without any hooks actually engaged. Which I believe would probably be like the barbecue equivalent to this. And funny enough, a dude that works at Berkley actually commented under the pic. It's Dan Spengler, who you've seen in these videos before. He's Berkley's senior project engineer of bait and terminal tackle, and he had the same thing happen when he was fishing with a Berkley Finisher. So I guess now we've got proof times 2 that the Berkley Finisher is so good it doesn't even need hooks to catch them. But as long as they are going to put hooks on it, I'm glad they're Fusion 19s. And if you haven't had the chance to fish with a Berkley Finisher yet, you need to. That thing flat out gets bit when other baits are getting shut down. It's so versatile in the way that you can fish it. You can make it do all sorts of things. Of course, it can be ripped super aggressively like most folks traditionally fish glide baits for walleyes. But it also can do a lot of more finessey things that you just don't see other glide baits doing. It's got a nasty little tail wag. Sometimes it can hover down in the water column, sort of like you see a spy bait do. And then my favorite thing is when you're just doing kind of a steady reel with little pops of the rod tip, that bait actually is doing that sort of walk the dog action but under the water column, and it gets whacked. It all comes down to watching how those fish are reacting to the bait in real time on forward-facing sonar, and then switching up your jigging cadence, your action of that lure, to see what actually gets them to commit, to seal the deal, to close that gap, and engulf that bait to the point where you don't even need hooks to reel them in. Believe it or not, and believe it, this right here is a $43,000 walleye.
Pardon me?
So the 43rd annual Iowa Great Lakes Walleye Weekend was just at the beginning of the month, and the Iowa DNR released 10 reward-tagged walleyes into Big Spirit Lake and East and West Okoboji. And this year's grand prize was $43,000 for anyone who caught one, and that money would have been split equally if more than one of those reward-tagged walleyes was caught. But they actually hadn't had one caught during that regular 2-day competition since 2017 until now. Dawn Ingvoldson was fishing with her boyfriend, who also happens to be a local fishing guide on Big Spirit and those area lakes, when she caught the reward-tagged, money-winning fish just 2 hours into the event because they went out at the crack of midnight and started trolling cranks right when the derby kicked off. I actually called Sean to get the details on how they caught the fish because you can't find them anywhere else. And the guy clearly knew what he was doing because he started busting out details. They caught him on a number 5 Berkley flicker shad. He's using 12-foot long trolling rods because he doesn't want to mess with planer boards at night. And those long 12-foot rods also let them boat flip fish in instead of netting them unless they absolutely have to, because if you've ever fished at night trying to net fish, and when you got crankbaits and treble hooks and fish in a net after dark, it's chaos.
Chaos?
Chaos.
Sean said that they had a massive cold front come through, and so they slowed their stroll, their troll, their roll.
Let's just slow your roll for a second here.
They slowed down a little bit, down to that kind of 1.7 to 2.0 mile per hour range, 7 to 9 feet of water, S-curving, weaving in and out, when Don's number 5 Berkley flicker shad in the flashy ghost color got bit, which is a dynamite clearwater color. And she got herself a true needle in a haystack. They're gonna have that fish mounted and bring it down to the bait shop for other folks to look at. $43,000. By the way, Sean also said, I still haven't gotten my tip out of the deal yet. We're still in negotiations. Big congrats, you two. You can buy a lot of flicker shads for $43,000. Wild enough, this cooler full of minnows was probably worth about $1,000. Those little units are called northern pikeminnows, and apparently they're native to the Pacific Northwest, but they prey on baby salmon and steelhead, and so officials want them out of the lower Columbia River so badly that they created this wild bounty reward program where they pay folks up to $10 for every single pike minnow they catch that's over 9 inches long, and some special tagged fish are worth up to $500 a piece. Here's where it gets really crazy. The program runs from May through September, so that's 5 months. And last year, 2024, the top angler made over $164,000 in those 5 months because he caught and brought in 16,000 of those little buggers, which, doing the math, is over $1,000 a day, assuming he didn't take a day off from chasing pike minnows. And if you're making that kind of money, why would you take a day off? I believe this reward program has been going on since 1990, and I think I saw it say that as of last year they had 5.3 million pike minnows submitted, which, if you do the math on that, and I don't know what they paid out per minnow every single year, but they have definitely paid out millions and millions and millions of dollars, like $50 million to get these northern pike minnows out of there. So essentially, folks are making a full-time career out of becoming pike minnow vigilantes.
I never said thank you.
And you'll never have to.
Man, I want a piece of that cake. Can you imagine just how fun it'd be to go there for even just a month? Catch those things and turn them in. It's like a modern day gold rush. Although I have a feeling, man, you start walking down into certain areas of that river, it's going to be like a modern day gold rush where the settlers, the people who were there first, don't want anybody else sliding in on their stake.
Why don't you just worry about yourself and leave the prospecting up to old Gus Chickens?
That wraps up this week's Top 5. A big shout out to Sea Foam and SCHEELS for making this fun video series possible. If you want more walleye related content like this, sign up for our free Target Walleye emails at targetwalleye.com, and I'll see you back in 7.